And do you have to worry about it? Market Watchers Jonas Max Ferris, Bob Wiedemer, on what that could mean for technology. Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that technology is clearly the latest fad in a rising market. I mean, let's face it, Tesla's up almost 80% since the beginning of the year. That's not because earnings are up 80% or it's a whole different company. It's just part of the fad. Apple as well, up 35%. So I think that, you know, all of these companies are vulnerable if the stock market goes down. And yeah, I think that risk, and most people would say the biggest risk, and I'd agree with them, is China. I mentioned on the last time I was on your show that oil was heading down. That's a worrisome sign. Commodities are heading down. Iron ore is down 35%. And in fact, one of those crazy Chinese statistics, and the reason this is important is people are worried about the Chinese economy. Crazy Chinese statistics, there are now enough iron ore in ports in China to build 13,000 Eiffel Towers.
Wow.
It's slowing.
Yeah, I don't even flip over the one that's out there. All right, so, Jonas, I'm looking and seeing these developments, and maybe, you know, Bobber's got this, you know, wrong, that if we have a sell-off, it isn't necessarily contingent on what happens to technology. Maybe, you know, to Bob's point, whether it's a China development or a slowdown development or a switch into other areas, there are plenty of reasons to think that this market's going to cough up a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to be a this time it's different investor. I don't like these parallels to 99 because the tech situation now is not like 99. I mean, we just bashed Tesla. Tesla makes the fastest car in the world, essentially, to 100 miles an hour. It's a four-door family sedan. The company didn't exist. It's not like Dr. Koop's stock back in 99. You really got to, and the fact that the NASDAQ's higher than it was in 99 is kind of irrelevant now. It is cheaper than it was back then. That said, there is fissures going on in tech, and we're seeing some over-exuberance that is questionable. You're not going to see them all go broke or fall 80% like in 2000 in some doom scenario, but you see it with, you know, we've underestimated the we just saw a fine that's basically 10% of Google's earnings for the year that's getting pushed under the rug like it's not a big deal. They've gotten a pass from regulators globally. This has been going on in tech for a long time. It might be coming to an end now. It's too big of a gravy train. Frankly, they've done a lot of questionable stuff. Google's gotten away with sucking profits from content providers, media companies, search they're supposed to be the not evil company. They definitely have done some questionable stuff. Democrats in this country don't care about tech. They only is a monopoly in oil or something. They've kind of lost it ever since Microsoft ripped off Apple years ago. They've gotten away with it. They're not getting away with it in Europe. That's become obvious. I think it's a growing problem. These stocks are priced like they won't have competition, that they're going to be monopolies and not have to have margin pressure, and Uber's not going to lose out to Lyft all of a sudden and never have profits. And I think that is a too optimistic scenario that they can both be a monopoly and not have regulatory pressure for being monopolies.
You know, Bob, you could argue that the Europeans have always had a problem with successful American technology stories, and they're jealous. You've heard the way that's portrayed sometimes in the media. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that developments like these do lead to companies like these. Netscape comes to mind, Microsoft comes to mind, where there's protracted litigation for years, and it's always a kind of a constant pall over these type of stocks. So what do you think of that, and whether forget about it's justified, whether it is a reason to reconsider these issues?
I think it's a reason to reconsider. I mean, this is a massive fine, and Google is certainly, you know, vulnerable to the idea it's a monopoly. You know, certainly I use it all the time, and I think that's certainly one of the risks. And I think it's worth pointing out there are risks to tech companies.
But when you say use it all the time, do you know that, for example, if you're searching for a shopping-related site,
I don't.
That they're going to steer you toward their own?
Exactly, and that's the kind of thing that could, you know, as proven, or just like Uber ran into with what it was doing in terms of manipulating rides to avoid regulators. You don't really know. But I would also caution about being too focused on fundamentals. Again, these stocks are up massively this year, and it's not due to fundamentals.
Absolutely. 80%. In the meantime, Jonas, we have these cyber attacks to consider. This is the latest wave, the second in as many months. What we piece together is that it's fairly broad-based in nature. Much of, seems like the old Eastern Europe, of the Ukraine, banking, oil concerns, drug makers. So a broad swath. What do you think of that and the potential fallout?
First of all, I'd like to say that you use them all the time, but they also use you all the time. That's their profit model. And in how they use you, and this goes for all the apps on your phone, is an element of privacy abuse that is opening you and them up to hacks, because almost every app you accept on your phone, whether it's through the Play Store or Android, you basically are like, yeah, you can look at all my contacts. Go ahead. Yeah, use, everywhere I go on my map, you should have access to them.
I like processed meats and cheeses,
right.
which
so
is rather
you're
disturbing.
creating all these nodes across the cloud that are hackable. Any one of these companies now who has access to all the stuff in your phone has access through a hack, even if it's not directly Google or Apple being hacked. So they've needlessly opened you up to this problem in an effort to squeeze every possible penny out of knowing exactly what your behavior traits are, all under the illusion of free content and services.
You know, they're searching the word ingrate for you, Jonas, when it comes to Google, and it's not pretty.
I think they just turned my phone off, Neil.
Yeah, right now it just goes out. All right, guys, thank you both very, very much.